Africa, may we all sit down, fellow comrades. Member number 1 of the organization. Comrades, can the door be closed? Can somebody who has opened the door close the door? Comrades of security, can you please stop operating without our instructions? I don't know who gave the instruction that the doors must be open. Comrades, can that door be closed there? Thank you very much, fellow comrades. Member number 1 of the organization, our political head, Comrade President, we thank you very much. Sometimes some things needs to be said by you so that some of us do not seem to be saying things out of our own personal convictions. All of us in the organization has lingering responsibilities. Sometimes when I answer questions, I like saying to comrades, one day when I become president, I will have answers. Or if I dare, I will have answers. Thank you very much, member number 1. Some of these things must be said by you in the correct platform. Here is a correct platform to speak. Comrade President, I want to narrate Congress a story about IEC. One year we were in IEC counting center. And I think Comrade Kaba was there with me. Other comrades, I can't mention their names because they are not here. I want to reflect the embarrassment we have endured as an organization. President, you were saying figures are moving in other organizations when we are there, and in our emblem, nothing moves. We once spent 3 days in IEC counting center after it has closed because of lack of capacity from the people who were representing the party, lack of understanding of elections. We remained in some hired hall, Comrade Ndonzima, that is rented by IEC. Now, the contract between IEC and that building had a date of ending after elections. Me and the former DSG, we were still holding some letter calling it an appeal, walking behind commissioners of the IEC. What ended up happening with us was a police van coming to fetch us from a hired private venue that is not belonging to the IEC. I'm saying this to say the journey we have traveled. Today, when the party sends me to IEC meeting, Comrade President, I wear my blue suit with confidence because from the gate, securities will be saying, DSG of the PAC, DSG of the PAC. We have one center of authority. Lastly, President, one of our great stalwarts in the party used to say this to us when we were growing up in the party. A disciplined PAC cadre personified the party. He thinks for the party and about the party like he does about himself. Meaning, if somebody enters our meeting and tells us to withdraw from IEC, we must just check his wallet if there's a bank card. We must go check his car if there's a license disc on the window. If his car has a license disc, meaning he himself is operating within the system he's complying. If he still uses a bank card, meaning his money, there's no bank owned by Pan-Africanists in this world. Meaning even his personal money are in the hands of capitalists. But expect the PAC to be in some excursion. Withdraw from mainstream politics. I don't know become what. I don't know operate where as what. I pause there, President. Siyakubulila kakhulu, member number 1. Under your leadership, sivaka mnandi. We are proud to call ourselves PAC leaders. Without any waste of time, comrades, our analysis of the program from yesterday to today, vis-a-vis the program we initially announced, we are 5 hours behind. We are mentioning this to say, in whatever we do, moving from here to the closed session up until the end, we have little luxury of time. No one is under duress not to say what they want to say. No one is under duress to do the English flair code like we normally code, even if sometimes the necessity, we still strive to understand why it's codes. But I'm just saying everybody will be allowed to speak as much as possible. However, we do not have the luxury of time. We are 5 hours behind schedule. I'm going to request member number 3 of the organization, Secretary General of the party, to give us the house rules, and we close this open session. As I said in my opening remarks, rules of an open session are extremely different from rules of a closed session. We are saying this so that all those who are inside the venue must understand that here we're in an open session. We are gravitating towards a closed session. In a closed session, Comrade Secretary General.
Izwe lethu Africa. Africa, I'm not going to take much of your time. You are all acknowledged, the leadership of the PAC and the president of the PAC, members of the NEC, provincial executive committees that are present here, the regional executive committee that are present here, members of the regional executive committee, and of course, members of the branch executive committees, and more importantly, you members of the PAC, you are acknowledged. Indeed, President, we will defend the PAC. Comrades, as the DSG has alluded to, we were supposed to have started yesterday with the open session. Let me start by firstly humbly apologize to delegates of the PAC that we were unable to start yesterday. We know that most of you traveled all night yesterday, and we had sincerely hoped that we were going to start yesterday. There were also issues around the sleeping accommodation. There were issues around accreditation. But fortunately, comrades, here we are, and we apologize for all those delays. We spent the whole night yesterday. Some of us, with some few members of the NEC, we said we're not going to sleep, or we're not going to leave the venue of the registration first. We would be the last, so as to assist and facilitate and ensure that all the delegates that should participate in this Congress do participate in this Congress. As I said, comrades, our program was supposed to start yesterday. We were supposed to receive messages of support from embassies. We were supposed to receive messages of support from fraternal political parties that are here in this country. We were also supposed to receive messages of support from political parties that we were in trenches with, those that we fought in deliberation with in this continent and elsewhere. Unfortunately, some of them were here yesterday, but they could not deliver the message as we could not start. We specifically received a message of support from Azapo. It was a written message of support I'm not going to read it. We'll share it with the structures. We also acknowledge we will then also get the reports from different commissions for adoption by the plenary. Once that process is concluded, that will be the business for Saturday. On Sunday, we will start with the new leadership taking oath of allegiance, after which we will then read out the declaration and the resolutions of this Congress or the plenary. After that, we will then receive a message from the newly elected PAC president. After that, we will then close and depart home. That is how our program, our official program, would be on Sunday. And we hope that we'll stick to it. More importantly, comrades, that I need to share with you, because we are now using these types of venues, we are supposed to follow certain agreements with the owners of the venues. The owners of the venues have given us time to start and time to end. Members of the NEC, because yesterday we were supposed to start at 11 and end at 3, but we ended up spending the whole night. We had to pay double the amount for that venue. We received an invoice this morning. So we don't have the luxury of time, because for us, time means costs if we are using these venues. So if our program starts at 8 and end at 9, it should definitely end at 9 and allow you also space to rest. More importantly, comrades, yesterday there were also acts of vandalism of the property that some comrades went into that venue, opened taps, and they did not close them. Water was running. And some came to us and said, there's no water. Kanti ama-Afrika bavulile ipompo ema-toilets. Some comrades decided to use those toilets as bathrooms. We were then told that we would be charged for that. Yesterday, members of the NEC, some members of the PAC also went to the venue that they know that they were not allocated to. They went to the venue, the sleeping accommodation, without tax, when it was clearly explained that no one should go there without tax. As a result, they have left a debt for the PAC. A debt that we do not know. It involved many, many other things. I'm highlighting all of these things, comrades, in an humble way to please ask you not to do such things, comrades. The party cannot afford such things. It's really unnecessary. We call upon members of the PAC to act in a very disciplined manner. The accommodation that we have been allocated to, all members who are delegates would have access to. If you have access card, you have the right to sleep in those sleeping accommodation. If you don't have, comrades, you will not be allowed into those facilities. More importantly, comrades, in those facilities, the property that you find there does not belong to PAC. And should that property be vandalized, PAC would be fined. And you know, these institutions, if I Zabo, they're out of this world. You get a micro oven that will normally get at a superstore for 700. But if you damage theirs, they will charge you 5,000 rand. So let's make sure, comrades, that we behave in those facilities. More, again, importantly, comrades, you will be provided with 3 meals: lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We also apologize, President and members of the NEC. Yesterday, the dinner was served very late, and members of the PAC were very hungry and exhausted. But we promised that we would improve, although it was not out of our own making. It was because of the service provider. It was not us who did that. But in case, we apologize, and we hope that today everything will run in order. Our understanding is that when we start, there will obviously be glitches, there will obviously be issues. But we hope, since it's the second day today, things will be better. On the third day, things will be much, much more better. And on the last day, when we leave here, we'll leave here happy as members of the PAC. We will provide all those meals, will provide the accommodation. There are also rooms that will also be allocated for commissions. We will also have rooms where we are engaging on media interviews, or where we are engaging with the media from time to time. I'm sure today you have seen that we are having a lot of media houses present here. They've got an interest on what the PAC is doing, since PAC is part of the government. PAC is also part of government at local government. In many municipalities, in particular in metros, we are also part of the executive. So all eyes are on us, on how we do things. So comrades, I plead with you, let us do things in a way that demonstrates that we are a government in waiting. Comrades, there are also bathroom facilities. I think here on my left is facilities for females. On the right, if I'm not mistaken, there are facilities for females. So feel free to use those facilities, but also take care of those facilities. The same with the rooms that we'll be using for commissions, the same with the rooms that we'll be using for media, the same with the rooms that we'll be using to eat. With those few words, I want to thank you as we close this session. We are hoping that we will go to lunch. After lunch, we will then reconvene for a closed session. With those few words, members of the NEC, we want to thank you. Members of the executives, we want to thank you. Or I can see, you know, when members of the PAC raise his hand, they remind you that there's something that you forget. There are very few issues that relates to credentials that still needs to be attended to. This morning, when I was with members of branches and delegates, we had promised that we were going to deal with those few, not new issues, Mafrica. Few issues that we had outlined what were those issues that we are going to deal with. We are still going to deal with those issues. We'll tell you where you will find us so that we deal with those issues. But it's not going to be in this venue. It's not going to be in yesterday's venue because of what I've just told you. But you will then be informed tentatively, particularly your leaders in provinces and regions, as to where you will find us to resolve finally those minor issues that are outstanding. With those few words, comrades, let me thank you for giving me this opportunity, Chair, and I hand over to you. Thank you.
Fellow comrades, a national congress like any other congress in this modern day PAC we are members of, there should be more pens, papers, gadgets than weapons. And I'm saying this deliberately, Comrade SG. Out of our own observations, we are saying we are running a normal political party. We are in a national conference. People, we hope they brought pens, papers, gadgets to type, phones to type, weapons. There are people who are authorized to guard conference. And we humbly request, we understand that as an organization we have a long history with military activities, and we appreciate that. We are very sensitive to that as an organization. However, we don't untie our own dogs unto our own selves. We will unleash when the right time comes, when the proper analysis has been made that there's a real enemy, then we will unleash that information. But with this, I'm saying the open session is officially closed, comrades. All provincial leaders, if there's a all provincial secretaries, if there's a provincial secretary who I've not engaged with, I'm requesting that after here we engage, so that when there's information, somebody must not say my phone was off and I was not able to answer, and we find ourselves arguing as if we are sabotaging each other. In a Congress situation, information moves and changes with time. We humbly request that in an event there's no provincial secretary present from your province, identify a responsible provincial leader who will from time to time be relayed to information so that they can be able to relate to you. Otherwise, I've heard you first. And if there's any other thing, your provincial leaders will get that information where there's a challenge and any other challenge that can be attended to. Please communicate to us through your provincial secretaries. We are avoiding people going to queue somewhere else when the business is busy here. If you have a problem, you communicate with your provincial leader. We are now going to an open session. Meaning in an open session, all official rules apply. We don't want to see a branch secretary trying to ask SG about a tag. There's protocol that must be respected. Even how these documents are submitted, there's protocol. So that abnormality ends here after this session. Moving from this session, the organization itself is getting into a Congress mode now. And those who understand what do I mean by a Congress mode, I mean we don't teach soccer players rules of soccer during a soccer tournament. In a soccer tournament, we apply rules, not teach each other rules. Israel too? In Africa, high moral. The gathering is officially closed until you communicate back, comrades. First, there's one center of communication. Whose instruction is that? No problem. Thank you, comrades. Thank you, comrades. We must disperse.